Hey there everyone, thanks for joining again, and today we're going to solve a problem with this door going from the kitchen to the garage. And if you look what's happening here, let me spin the camera around. You see this rubbing here, right? It's removing the paint, and it started doing that a few months ago. Look, it doesn't even close by itself. So what's happening is, what the real issue is that we've got this hinge that's moving, and one of the screws popped out, right? And the other two are loose. We're going to repair it, and we've got some undue stress here. Plus, we have a door closer here. That way, when if you just open the door and come in, it just closes automatically, and you don't accidentally leave the door open. So there's a lot happening here, and just the standard screws are not going to cut it. Now, a lot of people will try to solve this by maybe shoving toothpicks in there and then putting a screw back, maybe some glue. That's what you would do if you own Ryobi tools, right? So this is not the way to fix it, and it's not strong, and it's not permanent. So I'm going to show you how to do it permanently. So the first thing we're going to do is take these remaining two screws out with the cordless drill, which you'll see me do in a moment. Then we've got these 1/4 inch little dowels, plugs, and we're going to use a 1/4 inch bit and pre-drill these just a hair deeper than these are. So if this is 1 inch, we're going to go, let's say, 1.25 inches, so that way it's not sticking out. We want it to be at least flush with the back here, so that way your hinge is not rocking when you put it in. It's important to push this all the way through. With glue, with wood glue, we're going to let it dry for at least an hour, and then we'll come back and pre-drill new holes through this, and put much longer screws, because what we want to do is go right through here, right through the jamb, through the space that's behind the jamb, and into the 2x4 on the other side. So we're going to get longer screws that are made for that. So just keep an eye on what we're going to do here, and we'll walk through it. It's pretty easy. Anyone can do this at home. So first we're going to remove the remaining screws. Now you have to make sure that, see, I happen to have 3 hinges here, which is helpful. If you only had 2, one on the top, one on the bottom, this door is going to come off much more than you'll see it do here. So you'll want to support the bottom of the door so it doesn't go like this and put pressure on that bottom hinge. Okay, so again, at least the top screw, it just fell out, which means it's also been bored a little bit too much. We are going to pre-drill now. And it's okay if we go all the way through on this side. However, if our issue was on the door side, we wouldn't want to go too deep. And what you can do there is take your little dowel and come down a little bit, so that way you're going just a little farther, and then put a piece of tape around here as a mark, or even a black marker, so that way you can watch and make sure you're not going through too far. Also remember to go in as straight as possible. And you can go slowly. All right, we're through. Now we're going to open up the wood glue. A little ball peen hammer, so this is going to be helpful there. And again, I'm making sure that it's just a little bit deeper than this. I don't want it sticking out at all. Okay, so that's in. Now that's got to wait a bit to dry. And that one's in. Okay, we're going to wait for this to dry. I'm going to give it about an hour, and then we'll come back and line this thing up. The other thing about this that I wanted to fix was, I'm not sure if you might not be able to see this, but let me try to move the camera. take it off and I'll show you. But this door was right about there, and you see that little gap between the hinge and in here? There was still a little bit of a gap, so I'm going to do my best when I re-drill that to do it so that way it's tight up against here. Just like you see it here, how it's tight. We want to have the same thing here, otherwise this door is going to be just a hair out that way. So we are all dry now, and what I want to do is mark the center of each hole with a pen or pencil or whatever you want to use. Just don't use a fat marker because it won't be as precise. But before I do that, I want to get this over there, right? And it's not easy to do it while I'm using the weight of the door at the same time. But so it's going in the center now, but it's not, if we're looking at it, it's not in the same spot that we had the last time because it wasn't in the right, last time it was over a little bit and it wasn't flush up against the jamb here. So now we're going to, put it in the right spot. Okay. Now that I have the pen mark, what I want to do is start the hole. It's easy for you to put a drill bit in here and then it's going to dance around, right? So what I want to do is start the hole with an awl. So an awl is a tool that's just got a pointy tip here like this. And if you don't have one, then you can use just a very fine or small Phillips head screwdriver and just maybe tap it with the hammer slightly. So if we do that, then you have a good chance of having you can use a hammer for that. You have a good chance of having your hole started properly when you go and put in the drill bit, which we're going to do right now. I purchased these 2 1/4 inch. These are hinge screws, and they're actually slightly narrower than the other screws that were in there before, which is another reason why you want to plug these holes and start from scratch. And when you choose your drill bit, you want to go slightly narrower than the screw you're using, otherwise you've got a problem. If you go too narrow, then it's going to be too hard to drive these in, and then you could end up stripping the end of the screw. So I'm going to pre-drill all the way through, and I'm going to go through the jamb, through the space after the jamb, and into the 2x4 on the other side. Now I won't be able to go too far because the screw is a little longer, which is fine, and that only means that the tip of the screw is going to be a little bit harder to get through at the end, but it'll bury itself in nicely. I also want to stop and say one thing too. I have multiple settings on this drill, which you might as well. The setting 1 here is for driving screws in, and then the setting 2 is for drilling, which is much faster. And when you do that, you still want to start slowly. You don't want to be drilling that fast because you don't want to screw up the beginning of the hole. And once you get it going, then you can go fast like this. Okay, now we're going to start slowly on the next one. And here we go again. All right, so we got our 3 holes. We can swap out the drill bit, but I'm not going to just use any, because I'm worried about slippage. I'm not going to just use any bit on the end of on the end here. See, this is the one that I just had in there, but it feels like it's slipping, which means I could probably get a fatter one in here. So if you have one of those cases that has many different sizes. You want to go with one that's as fat as possible that'll fit in here to prevent the slipping, because I mean it's slipping right now when I'm doing it with my hands. So I'm going to go find a fatter one. Okay, I've got it. Now I'm going to do the center one first. I'll need to pull it over, or at least get it started. And then before I bury it in, I got to pull the door over so that way it's going to go right in the center of the hole. Problem is, you often have to put two hands on here to put pressure, and I'm going to have one hand pushing the door this way. You can hear it slipping slightly, and I'm leaning on it. Okay, you don't want to over tighten, because if you keep going, you'll strip your hole out. Now, you can see I got that over pretty much where I wanted it. And now that screw's holding the door, so I can focus my attention on getting this in here. If you need to, right at the end, you can just go hand tighten with it. Okay, I don't want to over tighten it. There we go. Now let's check the door. Look at that. Remember it was rubbing before? Not rubbing anymore. And that's what we wanted. So, another successful job. I appreciate you guys watching. If this was helpful to you, please hit that like button. I also will answer your comments down below if you have any. And if you have any other challenges or want other videos for me to make for you, just let me know in the comment section. I'll do my best to help you out. Hope you have a great day, everyone. See you next time.